Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United transfer news. We've got Garnacho rejecting a move. We've got Mbeumo next week. We've also got Marcus Rashford and Andre Onana having talks, as well as Watkins developments. But I want to start off with a story this Sunday morning that scares me. It scares me a lot. You'll know I'm scared of great white sharks, and this guy scares me more than being, chest deep in water and hearing that deep cello. This scares me more than that. It terrifies me. Even BB in the chat just said, I'd rather as we dug up my great granddad and stuck him up front. Manchester United, I hope you're with someone you can hug because you're going to get scared, linked to Nicholas Jackson overnight. Now, it's coming in from France, and we will hope that this is not true. But if I'm being honest, it's sort of a story that's been in the back of my mind for a couple of weeks now. That is he better than Calvert-Lewin? Yes. Is he less injury prone than Callum Wilson? Yes. Vardy? Yes. Is he available? Yes. Do Chelsea have an amazing tendency to sell their shit to other Premier League clubs for a good fee? Yes. And is Sir Jim and Favell and co obsessed with Chelsea? Yes. So when I hear stories like this, I have to react to them. And I have to say, surely it won't happen. But it does concern me because United need a striker and he is gettable. And I'm sure Chelsea would love to do a deal for £60 million for Nicholas Jackson to Manchester United in instalments. I mean, they'd probably say, take as long as you want. It's horrific. It's horrific. I mean, it really would be, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have anywhere to go on this, by the way. I wouldn't have anywhere I could go on this because I have ripped the piss out of this striker so much at Chelsea that there is no way I can say... I can't. Look, don't tell Rio, making your mind up about a player before they come. He's got family and friends. You can't do that. Well, I'm sorry, Rio, I can, because I'd be a hypocrite if I said I'm going to get behind Nicholas Jackson at Manchester United. I'd be a hypocrite if I said I think this is a better deal than nothing. And I'd be a hypocrite if I said I'm going to get behind him because there are clips of him missing chances and I've gone, who's bad? I'd rather have Michael Jackson up front. I'd rather have the statue of Michael Jackson outside Fulham up front. I've absolutely rinsed this player. So I can't contemplate this. I can't get behind this. I can't say anything other than if we do this deal or even look at this deal, we are done. I mean, this is the sort of deal that years ago Chelsea would be selling this player to Everton. This is the sort of deal that, it's like Arsenal selling Nketiah to Crystal Palace. That is what this is. We can't be that. We might well be that. I think this is a good point. We may well be that. We finished 15th. We lost to Spurs in the Europa League final. We're nowhere near the level we want to be. And effectively, we are Crystal Palace taking Nketiah from Arsenal because that's where we are. But we don't have to behave like that. We can be something else. We can say, okay, this is where we are, but we're not going to behave like we're that. We believe that we're better than that. So, yeah, just be wary of that. I mean, hopefully nothing will come from it. But sometimes stories start in France and end up in David Ornstein or Fabrizio Romano's Twitter timeline. So look. Just dropping it there, saw it last night and thought, you know what, we probably should hit that story head on as we have. Give us your thoughts on that. 60 million is criminal, says Lee Berman. Well, they were quoting 100 million yesterday. Apparently their justification is that they wanted Ekitike from Eintracht Frankfurt and they quoted 100 million euros. So now people have inquired about Nicholas Jackson since they bought João Pedro and Delap, and Chelsea have gone, well, if they want 100 million euros for Ekitike, and Liverpool are demanding £60 million for Nunez, then we want 80 for Nicholas Jackson. So yeah, not only is he rubbish, someone's going to pay a lot of money. Doesn't seem likely, says I Hunt for Static. I would love to agree. It doesn't seem very likely, but I actually think anything is possible with Manchester United at the moment. Just a shout out to Devil's Info as well. He messaged me last night about this. I've not seen whether this is true. We'll have to wait and see. But apparently Ollie Watkins is now being linked to Saudi. He really needs to get out of Villa, by the way. I know a lot of Villa fans. I know a lot of people quite close to Villa. And him and Emi Martinez do need to get out of Villa. Like, it's not, it's not one of those transfers where it's like, if the price is right, they would reluctantly leave. Watkins, Martinez, Emery, they want to end that relationship. All three. Like, Emery wants Watkins and Martinez gone. And both players want to move on. So that doesn't mean it's going to benefit Man United, but if Saudi's all that's available, he probably will go. I mean, Ivan Toney's over there, isn't he? He's still getting picked for England. So just a player that's been linked to Manchester United, but apparently they're looking at him in Saudi now as well. Another player that's been linked to Saudi, and I would say it's disappointing but not surprising. Mike McGrath from The Telegraph, who dropped the story about Onana yesterday. So credibility, I like it. I like that. I do like that. I think we're craving a world where we get more journalists with credibility, because it is dominated by certain journalists. And then I think we've got a lot of journalists who basically just hold the hand of Man United and say, what do you want us to pump out? And then there's a lot of people who just make stuff up. So I think with this story, it's quite interesting because what Mike McGrath is saying this morning is that Al Nassr, which is Ronaldo's team, had made an approach to Garnacho about taking him to Saudi. He's rejected it out of hand. He wants to stay in Europe, and Manchester United are supporting him in that quest. Not really a lot to say about that, if I'm being completely honest. If he was going to go to Saudi, it would be great for us because we would get a lot more than we're going to get in the European market. I don't know what you'd get from Saudi. Maybe 60, maybe we would get the value. But highly unlikely that Garnacho's going to want to go to Saudi at 20 or 21, I think he is now. Especially when he wants to, I understand that. I know John Duran went there, but look at him. He's now going to be playing in Turkey. So I think it's a step too far for a 21-year-old to be going to Saudi. Yeah, you're going to get good money, but it's your formative years. You're going to want to play Champions League. You're going to want to establish yourself in your national team. And I'm not going to criticise Garnacho for that. There's plenty to criticise Garnacho for, but I'm not going to criticise him for that. I think the most important thing is that Manchester United need to start escalating these moves. I don't know why. I don't know why, but it feels like last week was a bit of just classic Manchester United, really. So in relation to Marcus Rashford, Manchester United next week are going to be holding talks with him and Onana. So story coming out this morning that Manchester United will hold transfer talks with Marcus Rashford and Onana this week. Now, you would presume the same with Garnacho, because Garnacho wasn't back until midweek last week as well. So it feels like, again, it's the middle of July. Manchester United have done nothing. I mean, it's the 13th of July now. We've sold nobody, by the way. We're halfway into July now. I don't know where July's gone, but we're 2 weeks into it. We've sold nobody in all of June and half of July. We're nowhere near selling anybody at the moment, by the way. There's nothing like tomorrow, here we go. We've bought one player that we knew we were going to buy in April. And it feels like last week, for some reason, United's approach last week was, and some people might agree with it, but what we're hearing is that last week it was really about getting all the players that are going to be part of the plan back, settling them in, smiley faces, clips on socials, Amorin, and then this week is going to be bringing the players in or their agents in to talk about exits. And that's proper. That's the truth. Like that's what's coming out this morning. That's what happened last week. There was no agent of Garnacho or Sancho or Casemiro or Rashford or any player. There was no agent there last week talking to United about prospects of moving. In fact, with Rashford, apparently the conversation this week is not for Rashford to stay. It's for Rashford's people to understand what Man United are willing to accept. as an exit? Like, what are they looking for as a fee? What are they willing to have as a wage, as a payout? I mean, in the middle of July. This guy's been on loan since January. Like, why are we not at this stage? So that's what's expected this week, is conversations with players around. Now, look, there may well have been conversations before, but having to have these conversations again because the conversations we had before didn't work. And I think that's what's happening. I think if you take Rashford as an example, story coming out from Spain this morning, Barcelona continue to work on deals for both Luis Diaz and Marcus Rashford, but will not rush to sign either players. I mean, this is something we predicted all along. They're not going to rush. They're going to, push this for a long time. And I think what's going to happen there is you're going to get a conversation between United and Rashford's people about, well, can we have it on a loan deal? Can we do a loan deal? And this is... I agree with Arshan, really. Are we that desperate to get Jackson instead of trusting Xerxes and Rasmus? What is going on at the football club? See, I've got to say on that one, I thought you were talking about something else. I thought you were talking about us being desperate. But I've got to say, I do not, and it's probably quite a divisive opinion here, but that's football. I don't agree with giving Rasmus and Xerxes another season. I don't. I just don't. I don't agree with that. I mean, I like both players, and there may be a future for both players at the club. Maybe Xerxes is a 10, Rasmus is the backup striker. But I don't agree with them being the two strikers. I really don't. And that's not me saying they're both crap. I like both players, but I don't see either of them, as the striker that we need. Now, you could sell Rasmus and have Xerxes as the understudy. You could put Xerxes in at the number 10 and have Rasmus as the understudy. You could sell both. You could keep both. I like both players, but I don't want another season as them as our striker. I think that's a huge risk. Huge risk. And once bitten, twice shy. Like, why would you do it again? Neither of these players are like teenagers. They're both like approaching, well, I think how old Xerxes? Xerxes got to be like 24. Rasmus is 22. So they're not... got that absolutely spot on. So, no, I don't want to see them two given the chance as being our striker again, to be honest. I think there has to be some... we demand a change from last season, to be honest with you. There's got to be a change from last season. But it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. BB54 says, what's the story with the goalkeeper? Well, apparently there will be talks with Onana's agent next week. Obviously, we had that news yesterday that Onana is now injured. There's talk of Binder covering until he gets back. Look, I wouldn't be surprised if Manchester United go down the cheap route. If there is someone like Vitek or Binder who can play in goal on tour, does it really matter? Like, the tour, if we're being completely honest, the tour is a PR thing. We think it's about pre-season, but it's a PR thing. It's about going over to the States, selling some nice shirts, converting some fans, playing in front of tens of thousands of people. That's what it was last year. That's what it will be this year. Because it's not about a pre-season training camp. They don't have time. They don't. It's attend this event, attend that event, do this interview, do that interview, play this game, play that game, get on a plane, get on a plane, get on a plane. That's what the US tour is all about. So it's not going to be about intensity of training or learning patterns. And secondary to that, with what? With last year's team, you've got one new player. You might have two. Come on. So I don't think it actually matters if you put Binder in goal against Everton, West Ham and Bournemouth and wait for Onana for the opening game of the season. I think there's a few people out there going, oh my God, we need to have a first team goalkeeper for the tour. We don't. You could put me in goal. You get beat, but it won't matter. I'm not convinced we're going to go out and buy a goalkeeper of the standard that we need. As I said last night, I think the John Victor one is the most appealing because he's very, very cheap, but he's also got second choice goalkeeper written all over him if you can bring a really good goalkeeper in next season. And I think for this season, he would push Onana. So I think Victor from Botafogo would be a very good choice to bring in because he's cheap, he's at a good age, and he will compete with Onana, and then you'd have to kick down the road getting a proper goalkeeper in a year, but it's better than nothing, I suppose. El Nash says, we'll regret selling Rasmus. He showed glimpses last year, and I think he's got potential, but what's Chelsea convincing Ineos to pay 80 million for Jackson? United be like, he's a smooth criminal, says J. Law Lloyd. Some of the players we are being linked with shows how far we have fallen. It's absolute piffle, says Mike JW. Well, look, about the striker, there are still conversations, there are still stories out there this morning, which I sort of want to steer clear of, about United and Gyökeres. And I'm a massive fan of Gyökeres. I really thought there was a time a few weeks ago where we were going to get Gyökeres, and I would love him to come to Manchester United. But come on. I mean, this is just this is the same as Mbeumo. He wants to go to Arsenal. The difference is £5 million. Arsenal are not about to down tools on a Gyökeres deal for £5 million to start negotiating with Leipzig and Sesko, which will cost them more and might take longer. This deal will get done. When it will get done, I don't know. But we can't be waiting in line hoping that he's going to reject them. It's like fancying somebody, but they're in love with somebody else, and that person they're in love with, might be going away for a few years, and then you're going, oh, I hope they do go away because then they might take me. And it's like, we have to have a better plan than that. We have to have a better plan than that. We lost the lap. We've lost out on Osman. We've lost out on Gyökeres. But there are decent strikers out there beyond that. And you know what? I don't know why we're not looking at something a little bit more out of the box. There's got to be strikers out there who are between the age of 22 and 25 who've had good seasons at somewhere in the world and have the potential to come to Manchester United and do well. I don't know why we're looking at broken players that are looking for one final payday. Some of the players we have been linked with shows how far we've fallen, says Mike. Only positive, he scores more than Rasmus, but no, says Dale, about Nicholas Jackson on that one. Well, on Mbeumo, I mean, I'm almost terrified to give you this update, but I will do. This is direct quotes from Fabrizio Romano in the last few hours. Get ready. It's groundbreaking. And I sympathise with Fabrizio because he gets asked about it every day. Contacts are still ongoing between United, Brentford and others involved in the deal. Mbeumo still wants to go to Manchester United, and the club remain optimistic to get the green light and sign Bryan Mbeumo in the next days. Still no breakthrough as of tonight, but United keep working, negotiating, keep advancing to find the right structure for the deal. They're working on easier and more difficult add-ons. They're trying to make Brentford happy with their final proposal. United are on it, and the deal is completely alive as of this weekend. United prepared to push again and get Bryan Mbeumo, a crucial target for their transfer window. Now, that is where I will agree with you. So no news then. Also goes on to say, Man United remain active with Mbeumo this weekend and hopeful to get a green light by the end of next week. Help me out. Just help me out on that one. I mean, I don't know what to say. We've got a new kit coming out on Wednesday. We've got a pre-season game on Saturday. I'm convinced we get a here we go this week. But at the end of the day, I have to say, all the joy, all the interest, all the excitement, it's got to be one of the worst deals we've ever done. It's got to be. I mean, Fabrizio is basically taking yesterday's video, taking the manuscript, whacking it into ChatGPT and saying, can you convert this into as many cliches as possible that sound different to yesterday? And he's doing it every day. Like, I feel sorry for the guy because he's getting asked about it every day. There has been no update on Man United and Mbeumo and Brentford since David Ornstein told us the story at the start of June. Mbeumo wants Man United, Brentford will sell for 60, and Man United need to offer it. That's basically the same update for 6 weeks. There's a couple of bids gone in, but still it remains. Mbeumo wants Man United, Brentford will sell for the right price, and Man United need to pay it. We just haven't paid it. So we can talk about add-ons, we can talk about closer, we can talk about concrete, we can talk about green lights, we can talk about progress, we can talk about advancing, we can talk about negotiations, we can talk about working hard, we can talk about moving in the right direction. But the reality is, it's all just talk. Why have we not offered 60 million quid? That's the only question. Why haven't we offered it? And if it genuinely is because we want him to be announced when the new away kit comes out, then, or maybe we had no intention of doing this deal until the middle of July to save money on wages. So, I mean, look, it's not beyond the realms of possibility that Manchester United, after Cunha, read this fan base and went, we can't do nothing in June. Like, we can't not be doing anything in June. We can't not sell anybody and not buy anybody in June. So somebody goes, well, let's let it be known we're in talks for Mbeumo. Let's let it be known that that's the player we want, but we just won't sign him until the middle of July. Oh, but the fans will start moaning about how slow we are. Yeah, but it's better than not being in talks with anybody, because we're not in talks with anybody. So would you rather we put it out there that we're in talks with Mbeumo for 6 weeks and get the piss taken out of us for being slow? Would you rather there was no talks about anything? Yeah, put it out there. And I think that's... I'm absolutely convinced that this whole Mbeumo scenario is deliberate. I don't think you can call it incompetence, but I don't think it's because we're incompetent at bidding. I think it's staged. I don't think it's staged from Brentford's side, and I don't think it's staged from Mbeumo's side, but I think Man United have staged this. I think they've purposely made it go this long. And the reason I think that is because there's no logical explanation why you'd go from June the 1st to July the 13th with next to no progress on a transfer fee of £60 million, which is totally and utterly fair, and we've not been able to get anywhere near it. And yet this week, I think we will. And I think we've done it on purpose. I think we've done it because we don't want to buy our second signing until the middle of July, because we haven't sold other players. And it'll be a financial thing, which is terrifying to run a football club like that needs a lot more than this. But you look at how Newcastle did the Elanga deal, and Chelsea did the Pedro deal, and Spurs have done the Kudus deal and the Gibbs-White deal. These deals are fast. You look at all Liverpool's transfers, you look at Arsenal's transfers, you look at Man City's transfers, you look at Chelsea's transfers. There is no deal this summer. This is one point to remember. There is no other deal in the Premier League this summer that's gone even half as long as what Mbeumo to Man United has. Like, by a very long way, this is the longest deal Man United have worked on. This is the longest deal in the summer transfer window. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think it's completely and utterly staged, and I think that United have done it deliberately. And we've all been played again, effectively, which I don't think we'd be surprised about. Why is the show so early this morning? If you didn't watch the evening show last night, you missed another cracker. The 8 o'clock shows are legendary at the moment, made by you, absolutely superb. But Seb's got a match at 10, so I can't do my normal 10 o'clock show, so hence I'm a little bit earlier. It's obvious Jim didn't buy United, the shareholders of Ineos did, says James Clough. Xerxes once said he was more of a 10 than a 9, says David. I think he is. I mean, I think he is. Still believe a solid option is Igor Jesus for 15 million. 24, presses well, hard-working, prolific, speaks Portuguese, low risk, high potential. Plays for Nottingham Forest now. I agree, Geordie. Having seen him play, I think he would have been an interesting proposition, but he now plays for Nottingham Forest for about 20 million. So, I think he's going to do well in the Prem. And I think we'll be looking at that player going, why didn't we go anywhere near him? How is it that Forest have got better South American scouts than we have? Scary. I honestly think Moises Keane would be perfect. I don't want it. I do not want him, Jacob. You know what? You should never go back. You should never go back. And if you go near Keane, who flopped at Everton, the pressure on him to do well in the Premier League is massive. He's at Man United, where it's even more. Fans will be like, I'm not sure about this. It's got the recipe for a disaster for the lad, to be honest. Wouldn't go anywhere near that deal. Nowhere near. Morning, everyone. Sending love and happy vibes. Thanks for coming early live. Mark, says Trader NG. News ain't great, but at least we have you. Thank you, pal. Thank you very much. Okay, I have got to shoot off because otherwise you'll miss kick-off. We've got a 7 o'clock show tonight because it's the Club World Cup at 8 o'clock. But obviously, if anything else happens like it did yesterday with Onana, we'll get some content up for you as well. Have a great day. Stay safe. Do you think once this deal goes through, we start hammering out more deals quickly? Wolf in blue. No. I don't think there's going to be a massive influx of deals in a quick way. No, I don't. Take care, everyone. Stay safe. I'll speak to you in a bit. If you didn't watch live, which many of you probably didn't because you didn't realise we were early, get your comments in as usual. Speak to you in a bit.